I had my son way too young with my then boyfriend. We split up when he moved away for college and became an absent father when he returned for the summers. He became more active when he moved back after graduating, and we started doing 50-50 custody. I was 24 then and went to community college and got into sonography school, and I'm now an obstetric sonographer. During that time, it came out that my ex had never graduated and was in enormous debt from gambling during his time away. It explains why, with a full ride scholarship and a degree in a high-paying field, he was working at the mall. Once I got a job, I was able to upgrade my standard of living and provide a better life for me and my son. He's now nearly adult and entering senior year soon, and I want him to get a lovely gift to celebrate his birthday this summer. I asked him earlier this year when we talked about cars, what car he would want, and he said a 2023 Camry. While we're financially well off and don't struggle, I know he thinks buying a car is out of our budget, so he didn't suspect a thing. Here's the issue. I was speaking to my ex's sister, whom I am semi-close to, and I brought up the idea to her. She seemed excited, but then said I shouldn't. She said it makes her brother look bad, since he doesn't have a car, and it would crush him to know that his son has a brand new paid-off car while he barely scrapes by. I told her that's not my issue, and that it's not my fault he doesn't have his life together. He's 33 years old and still lives at home, doesn't have a car, and constantly switches retail jobs after spending weeks stretching out and watching orientation videos as long as he can. My son told me he recently spent almost 2 months watching Home Depot orientation videos and then quitting the first week on the floor. He doesn't want to work hard, so why should I feel bad? After a few days, she calls me and says she has an amazing compromise. She told my ex that I planned to buy a special gift for my son this summer and asked if he was willing to pitch in. He offered $80, and she's going to add another $80 for a total of $160. Then we could tell our son we bought it together, and he feels like his dad pitched in. This is for a $34K car. I told her no thanks, I have it covered, and she got upset and said that this could bring my son closer to his father, since they don't have much of a relationship, and not to be a selfish idiot. Ever since I said no, she called me twice, calling me an idiot and saying I should either let him chip in or not buy it at all. Am I the idiot? Ha 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 ha. Is she kidding? Not the idiot. So she doesn't want her brother to feel bad that his son has a car and he doesn't? OMG, they need to grow up. He does not work to improve his life, it sounds like, and that's not for you or your son to feel bad about. And now they want to chip in a couple of $100s on a $34,000 car and try to make it sound like they bought it too? Please, your son is smart enough, he would see through that anyway. Also, if he isn't close to his son, that sounds like that's on him as well. Good for you for working hard to give him a good life. You don't owe them anything. Yeah, $160. How generous of them. Has this man even paid child support all these years? Oh, he was just busy gambling. Dad can suck it up and reap what he's sown. His sister's crossing a major line, thinking that $160 is enough. If it was a difference of even $1,000 or $2, I'd maybe entertain it. But what they're proposing is insulting to the work you've put in. LMFAO, $80? We got a big spender for an ex. The gift that you worked hard for, not ex, not his sister. It's your moment with your son. If dad and sister-in-law want a moment, well, they can work for it, as you did. I say again, your son is a smart kid. He sees your ex slacking. He's not going to believe for a minute that your ex significantly contributed to the car. Here's the other thing. Say son believes ex paid for half. The ex could turn around and guilt the son into lending him the car because he sacrificed so much to help pay for it. Go with the truth. It's the best option in the long run. Congratulations on your son's graduation, and tell your ex to buy some fuzzy dice or whatever, but remind your ex that these are a prop and he can't gamble with them. My wife is flying to see family for just 4 quick days this weekend, and the airport is 1 hour away. She returns back and lands at 10:30 a.m. on Independence Day. We have kids, and I want to take them to our town's wet parade and fun activities that morning for the celebration. We didn't make part of last year's celebration, and I was looking forward to this year's. She asked me to drop her at the airport. Initially, I was all for it, but then learning about her return time, this is where the disagreement began. Our family car is in the shop, but we have a loaner from the dealer. I asked her to think about driving herself so we could celebrate the festivities, and she instantly got mad. That'll cost us hundreds more dollars. Parking is $8 a day. The loaner isn't ours. What if it sells while I'm away? Then they wait. Why can't you support me through this and not be selfish? Who's selfish here? The festivities go on all day. I'm only asking for 2 hours. 9 to 3 p.m. is the duration of the festivities. These were some of the statements immediately made. She even said, my dad wouldn't hesitate to support his wife. I think her dad would shrug and say, just drive yourself. Am I the idiot because I want to take the kids to our town's 4th of July celebrations and would prefer my wife drive herself to and from the airport? Not the idiot. Airport pickup and drop off is a luxury. Either my wife and I offer the other if the stars align just right. Otherwise, we hire a cab. Loaners don't sell while they're being loaned. That's not how the process works. Parking wouldn't be hundreds of dollars. It would be $32. Having said that, you could pick her up by 11, be home by noon, and still attend the festivities for 3 hours in ideal conditions. Barring any flight delays, traffic jams, or small kids' meltdowns, there are a ton of things that can go wrong, especially with the kids in the car. Anyone with children knows that a 2-hour round trip on Google Maps doesn't equate to a 2-hour round trip in reality. It's unreasonable for the wife to make that demand when she can just drive herself with much less of an imposition on her time than it would be on his. I agree with every word. OP isn't some deadbeat dad wanting to hang out with his buddies on the 4th. He wants to take the kids to a kid-centric event. I'm a mom, and if I were in this situation, I'd tell my husband, have fun. I'll try to join you when I get home. In my honest opinion, the wife's being extremely selfish and not thinking of her kids or her husband. The wife needs to suck it up and drive herself. Don't back down, OP. You're the only one in this situation thinking of the kids. Take them to the parade and have a great time. This is so stupid. My girlfriend thinks I'm an idiot, so I want some second opinions. We're both quite serious tea drinkers, being from the UK, at least 3 cups a day. I have mine with 1 spoon of sugar. She has no sugar. We've been dating for a year now. In the first month of dating, things were great, and she made my tea properly. Then she slowly started to forget and made us both cups with no sugar. I gently reminded her that I like it with 1 sugar, but she wouldn't remember and kept making me non-sweet tea. So I decided to just make both of our teas going forward throughout the day to save the hassle. However, lately, I've been tired of having to make all this tea, and I asked her if she could make me a cup once in a while. I don't think it's fair that I make her nice teas and she can't return the favor. Today she made me tea with no sugar, once again, and I got fed up and asked her why she doesn't add sugar to mine. It feels deliberate, to which she told me she forgets, and that's just how she does it, and I can add my own sugar after. So I said that wasn't the point, and moving forward, until she can make my tea nicely and take my taste into account, I will no longer be making her tea. I remember her little dietary quirks, and it just feels off that she won't remember this for me. She says it's stupid for me to go on strike about making her tea, and I'm weaponizing it, and it takes 2 minutes. However, I'm tired of making her perfect tea while she doesn't even put any effort into mine. Am I the idiot? People are going to get onto you with, it's just sugar, but I get your point. It's the effort. You take the time to remember what she likes and do that if you're making for both of you and she doesn't return the favor. It feels lopsided to you. Hence the question, you are not the idiot. Exactly. They've been dating for a year now. It's not like it's some complicated Starbucks order. It's 1 spoon of sugar. I'd honestly start making the tea, but putting 1 sugar in her tea as well. If she needs help remembering your preference for something as simple as tea, why should you go to the trouble of it? It's a simple lack of respect. If he wasn't British, I would have suggested that as well, but he's probably too darn polite for stooping to the level the rest of the world would applaud, Canadians probably being the exception. As an American who used to drink sweet tea, I cannot relate. LOL, we drink tea syrup in this area. No sugar? Get out, OP. You can have a tea war if you like. But the real question here is a fairly fundamental relationship question. Do you want to remain in a relationship with this person? My partner and I are typical sleep-deprived parents of 3 children, ages toddler to infant. I'm a stay-at-home mom, while my partner commutes for work, and depending on which site he's at, can be on the road for more than 6 hours a day. When necessary, he'll get a hotel room closer to the job site. Getting up with the children during the night has always been my responsibility. The logic behind this is that his sleep should be the priority due to the dangers of driving while drowsy. I've always accepted this without complaint. However, since the birth of our youngest, my partner's begun to accuse me of intentionally disrupting his sleep if the baby wakes him up at night. This past week, my partner had a few long days and was gone from early Wednesday morning until late Friday night. Please, no judgment, but I was so busy, exhausted, and overwhelmed during that time that I didn't get the opportunity to shower. I felt disgusting. It took ages for the children to fall asleep with the excitement of Daddy being home, but around midnight Friday night, I finally got the opportunity to treat myself to a shower. I hoped the baby would stay asleep, but if he didn't, there was finally another adult to cover for me, and as the next day was Saturday, there was no commute to worry about. Well, of course the baby woke up, and my partner was absolutely livid. I was accused of being selfish, vindictive, unsupportive, and using the baby as a weapon to punish my partner for getting more sleep than me. I was called every curse word in the book, and when I asked why my partner at no point tried to pick up or soothe the baby, I was told that he doesn't have tits to put the baby back to sleep. So what would be the point? At first, I was equally angry at my partner for choosing to lash out at me instead of caring for the baby. However, now that I've calmed down, I've started worrying that I was wrong. While my partner's accusations were wildly off base, I may have been an idiot to just assume it would be okay for the baby to wake him, especially when the baby's nighttime care has historically been my responsibility. So, am I the idiot for assuming it would be okay to let the baby wake up my partner because I desperately needed a shower? Not the idiot. Even though you're a stay-at-home mom, that doesn't mean you're the only one with parental responsibilities. Letting your partner sleep while you care for the baby at night so he's not driving drowsy is a fine concept, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have to do anything ever at nighttime. And the fact that it was a night when he didn't have to drive the next day is the icing on the cake. Taking a shower for the first time in several days while there's another adult around is not a selfish act or weaponizing your baby. It's basic human hygiene that you shouldn't have to apologize for. Tell your partner it's time to start being a parent. How would he do this without tits? It's common knowledge that women change diapers with their tits. I'd go so far as to call it weaponized incompetence. Sure, he doesn't have breast, but sticking the baby on the boob isn't the only way to get them back to sleep. And even if it was, does he still not have a responsibility to at least comfort his child until the mom returns to feed the baby? Come on now. Stop acting like you're helpless in this situation. I bet he got perfect long sleep time Wednesday and Thursday nights away while you were doing 100% of childcare and couldn't even get a shower for yourself. You've given him way too much of a break on care duties if he doesn't even know how to pick up his baby to soothe it? Girl, stop allowing this person to procreate using your uterus. Please stop. That level of aggression would be an absolute deal breaker for me. This happened over a year ago, but this situation has still affected my family, and my mom won't stop getting on my husband's and mine, case even now. My father had diabetes, and his health was deteriorating fast. He was in the hospital and then got out. After he got out, he was weak and was trying to rest at home. I come from a big family with a lot of siblings. One of my sisters travels all through Europe and is frequently moving. I'm in the US, and I haven't been back to Europe in over a decade, but I talk a lot on the phone with them. We'll call my sister Anna. Anna suddenly moved into my parents' house with her husband and 8 children for an unknown period of time, and for reasons no one knows. Well, she had nowhere else to go, apparently. My mom is the closest with her and has always been sympathetic towards her, so she's fine with her being there. My dad was exhausted, coming home from the hospital just a day or 2 ago. My husband was talking to him on the phone and heard all these kids screaming and making noises. He asked if everything's okay. My father just said he's tired, overwhelmed, can't take it anymore, and just wants to rest. My dad talks to my brother, who lives there, and talks about the environment in the house. My brother said it was a disaster and pretty noisy since the kids were running everywhere. My mom, however, said that it's not a big deal and not that noisy. Well, we all just had a feeling my dad was going to die any day now, and these were his last months alive. My husband and I felt bad for my dad and thought he deserved peace in his last moments. My husband asked to speak to my mother, and she said, no, not now. So my husband asked to speak to Anna's husband. He said, if you don't leave this house by 7:00 p.m., then I'll pay for a rental home where he can rest his final days. It's not okay for this man to work all his life, and he can't even die peacefully in his own home. I'll be calling back to make sure you've left. They tried to talk back and downplay everything, but my husband really put his foot down, and ultimately they left. After about 2 days, my father had to go back to the hospital and died. My mother's still upset with me and my husband that he kicked Anna and her family out. She still comments to my husband and acts like we were really out of line and rude. I want to add that Anna was and still is building a new home near my parents' house, so they have some money. Am I the idiot for letting my husband kick my sister's family out of my parents' house? Edit. I just want to add, since there's a little confusion, that this was our last resort, since it's pretty big, but my mom didn't want to speak to us at all and always sides with Anna. She was babysitting the kids and ignored my father, so he was pretty much by himself after coming out of the ICU. But my dad was so weak and was mentally done. When my husband inquired about Anna's husband, he said, "Don't worry, it'll all work itself out." You are the idiot. It was not your husband's place to dictate what happens in other people's homes. You crossed the line. And how do you know that the stress of your sister and the children moving out didn't hurt your father in his dying moments? Why would he want the end of his life filled with family strife? Your inappropriate actions may have caused him more hurt, you fools. Not only that, you hurt the living people who were the ones that were there with him in his dying hours. You caused more stress for your mom, siblings, and nieces and nephews than necessary. Wow, how selfish of you. Imagine not being able to cook your own meals after a lifetime of cooking, not being able to drive a car, sign your name, write or wash your body, or convey your thoughts clearly. Your once strong body is a shell of itself. You have trouble walking or picking things up. Now imagine how exhausting that must feel, day in and day out. Then add 8 noisy young children and an unsupportive wife to that scenario when you're just trying to survive. You and your husband are not the idiot. At least you tried to give your father some peace in his final days. Sorry for your loss. Agreed. Your husband did the right thing. I've dealt with serious health issues, and I can't imagine having a bunch of kids around. When you're suffering, All you want is to be left alone in peace. Your mom probably needed their presence to distract her. That's my guess. Regardless, all you can do now is to say, "Yes, Mom, we know. You've told us multiple times," and change the subject.